A second live fire zone is declared in the Thai capital as the Prime Minister vows to press ahead with the crackdown. At least 24 people are dead, but Avasith Wetachua says it's the only way to restore peace to Bangkok. Extensive coverage this hour here on Al Jazeera. Hello, I'm Laura Kyle in Kuala Lumpur. The fighting between Thailand's anti-government red shirts and the army is continuing in Bangkok. 24 people have been killed since the government push to end 2 months of protests started on Thursday evening. Soldiers are firing live rounds at demonstrators in 2 separate parts of the city and are expecting an announcement on a curfew very shortly. We've got correspondents right around the protest zone. We've got Wayne Hay in Bon Khai, that's near the red shirts' southern barricade. Tony Bertley is in the Rajparab Road area near the northernmost edge of the standoff, and Ella Callan is between the two near the main commercial district. Well, first of all, let's go live to Wayne Hay in Bon Khai, which has now been declared a second live fire zone. Wayne, we've been hearing the government saying that they will only use these live rounds very carefully. Is that what you've been seeing?
Well, the situation here, Laura, is definitely worsening. Those troops you're talking about are about 100 metres down this road, and at times they are firing towards the protesters. We witnessed them over the last 24 hours, certainly firing live rounds horizontally towards the red shirts that you can see behind me here. The red shirts responding with their own makeshift weapons, fireworks and other homemade explosive devices. They're also trucking in dozens of tyres, and they have built several barricades along this road. Fortress, they're making some sort of fortress out of this area. They're also lighting quite a few of those tyres, rolling them towards the troops, and also using that smoke screen as a bit of a cover between themselves and the Thai troops. This area is now very much red shirt territory. You can hear some of those explosive devices going off behind me. The situation definitely deteriorating here, a standoff continuing, and let's go across to now the northern side of the main protest area and my colleague Tony Bertley.
This is the northern section of the red shirts' defences in Bangkok. This is the place they're going to make their last stand. It's their Alamo, if you like. It all began here, it's probably all going to end. And about down that road, about 100 metres, you've got the army positions, and something like 60,000 soldiers and armed police are spread around this area, ready for this final assault. And we're told there is going to be an assault of some kind. Prime Minister Avasith's been on national television to say that. But there are defences here. People here are determined to fight. This is what you call, what the military call a live fire zone. They've said to protesters, anyone going within 36 metres of their positions is liable to be shot. Now, we've seen in the last couple of days casualties starting to rise, but no big escalation at the moment. We've seen build-up of troops, but we haven't seen the armoured vehicles or the tanks, which would expect to be on the streets when the final assault comes, and it probably could happen the next couple of days. But this is a war of propaganda as much as anything else. You're hearing lots of conflicting messages coming from both sides. For example, the red shirts say that army snipers are in these buildings and they're picking off protesters at night. The military say these are terrorists and they're provoking the military and getting the people to rise up and cause problems and cause casualties. So it's very hard to get a handle on exactly who's speaking the truth. But the fact is there's a hard core of red shirts who are determined to fight no matter what. And as the sun comes down, people come out now with their clubs, with their Molotov cocktails, with their spears, with machetes, anything they can. This is the line of defence that is determined to fight.
Well, Thailand's protests trace their roots back to March 2005, when Thaksin Shinawatra began his second term as Prime Minister with a landslide victory. In September 2006, a bloodless coup ousted Thaksin from power. In February 2008, Samaksun Turwe became Prime Minister, returning the country to civilian rule. But by September, clashes between pro and anti-government supporters led to a state of emergency. Now, that same month, Parliament named Somchai Wongsawat as the new Prime Minister, but his appointment did little to stop the unrest on the streets. By December, Somchai was forced from office by the Constitutional Court, which disbanded the governing People Power Party for electoral fraud. And that paved the way for the current Prime Minister, Abhisit Wetschetchua, to secure a coalition within the Parliament. But since March 2009, supporters of Thaksin Shinawatra have been holding rallies against this government's economic policies. Natakorn Devakula is a political analyst and a media commentator, and he joins us now to shed some light on all of this from Bangkok.
Even if they crack down, the divisiveness will continue to be there simply because the man who is the Prime Minister has never won an election. And that's the main problem at the heart of this, if you look at what a democracy is supposed to be.
And at the moment, it doesn't look like that's changing. Natakorn Devakula, if you could just stay with us for a moment. We're hearing some reports of a gun battle breaking out on the streets of Bangkok, and our correspondent Tony Bertley is going to join us now from there. Tony, what are you seeing?
Hi Laura, I'm in the Ding Dang area, which is the entrance to the slum area of Bangkok, which is a strong heartland of red shirt supporters. And it's total devastation around here, burning tyres, thick black plumes of smoke, and exchanges of gunfire. And I say exchanges because there's been gunfire coming from the military side, just probably about 150 metres from me now. And also I've seen flashes and cracks of guns being fired from this side, very small calibre, and only probably one. But and you probably just heard that, something going off there. These are kind of huge firebombs that are going off to disperse people. But, you know, there's a lot of mood of anger here. And also I'm standing right next to a Molotov cocktail making factory. There's just hundreds of bottles and people stuffing them with gasoline, and they're throwing them. So, you know, tension is mounting here. The whole situation is escalating. Unless something happens, you know, it's going to get out of control, and pretty soon.
Tony, we have just been hearing from the military that a curfew will be imposed from tonight. From what you're hearing from the protesters, are they likely to abide by that curfew, or are they going to defy it and thereby escalate the situation even further?
Well, I think at night, actually, people are not moving around too much anyway. I mean, we've seen the evidence of that. There was an SUV vehicle that was actually shot to pieces, and that was trying to move at night. So I think the message is quite clear. You try and move at night, and it's gonna end up in a bad way. But I think the curfew shows something that maybe the military now is moving in. They're saying that anyone's on the streets can be shot. That's kind of covering their backs. And also they're preparing now. But the problem is that, you know, as the red shirts have been prevented from going to the main sites, they're moving to other sites. So the army is having to move its forces around. It's diversifying their things, and it's causing a bit of a logistical problem. So we don't know what's going to happen, but it seems like it's heading towards a conclusion. You keep hearing these explosions and exchanges of fire. We've heard that at least 2 people have been wounded, and this area, there's whole apartment blocks being evacuated because the army says that the red shirts are using this as a sniper position, and the people are being moved out. So, and they're cutting water and electricity to all the buildings here. So it does seem that the momentum is building for a conclusion.
Okay, Tony Bertley, thanks very much for that update, where obviously it's getting very volatile once again on the streets of Bangkok. We will return to you shortly, but for now, let's go back to our analyst, Natakorn Devakula, who's also in Bangkok. You would have heard the scene there where our correspondent Tony Bertley was reporting from, with explosions, with returns of machine gun fire from the troops. Do you expect this to descend into all-out civil war?
No, it's not going to be that bad. This is a battle between the military and the red shirt guards. Some elements of retired military officials also among the red shirt guards. The real key here is whether or not the Prime Minister is willing to sacrifice more lives of the red shirts. These people are there, and they're willing to die for their cause.